Hello and welcome to the Aura podcast with your girl Kubi Springer. Today I am sitting down with a woman who has the #1 podcast in the UAE, Dr. Sheen.
I moved to Dubai, got my big corporate girl job. Years later, I restarted and it changed the game. For me, honestly, I want the brand to be known as something that is reshaping the narrative around what women can achieve. Just want it to be a case where the podcast is not even needed anymore. That will be the best part of my legacy.
Hey, gorgeous.
Hi, Kubi.
First of all, I'm so happy you're here.
Me too.
I'm so happy you're here. Is it your first time at Aura?
It is my first time at Aura, yes. And honestly, I couldn't stop looking. As you know, I was trying to sit down and I was just looking around. Beautiful place.
And you've come at such a clear day.
I know. It's such a beautiful, honestly, and the wind is really nice right now.
It feels nice and breezy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. My love, you have a phenomenal podcast.
Thank you.
You're killing the game. I absolutely love it. You have some fantastic guests. But I'm super curious. How did we get here?
Well, I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think the short answer is a lot of consistency. So it's been a while. I actually started right after COVID, like everyone else. I needed a side project. And at the time, I was doing it remote. I was still in Cambridge. I was a student. And I thought, okay, you know what? Let's do it. Then I moved to Dubai, got my big corporate girl job. So then I stopped doing it. And then a few years later, I restarted. And it changed the game when I decided that this is something I'm truly passionate about. And since then, I've never looked back, and it's just been growing. We are about to hit our 100th episode. So super, super excited, and we're very happy with what we're building.
You studied biomedical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
You studied at two of the most prestigious universities in the United Kingdom, both Oxford and Cambridge. Child, you couldn't choose one, no?
I had to do both.
You were like, I'm just going to do both. Tick, tick. How do you go from being so academic, studying something that's got nothing to do with media, to then leaning in and saying, actually, this is my heartbeat?
You know, when I was in school, I was a little nerd, obviously, and the teachers would always tell my parents she does really well, but she's very talkative. And at the time, it was like, oh, okay, she just chats a lot. But now I've made a living out of it. I think it was always in me that I love talking to people and learning from them and sharing stories. And then while being at Oxford and Cambridge, even though that was a completely different career, it also opened up my horizons in terms of what I believe, how do I meet people, and also what is possible, right, out in the world. I think when I was growing up, all I knew were the traditional careers, become a doctor, an engineer, or have a PhD. But I didn't really know, oh, you know what, you could also be an influencer. You could build your own business. And after going into the workplace, trying out different jobs, my dad always makes this joke, and he says that he retired after working at the same place for 33 years. I was in the workforce for 3 years, and I resigned 4 times. So very different. But I think I realized that I wanted to build something of my own. And everything that I've learned, I've taken with me. Obviously not the actual medical research part, but everything when it comes to working in a team, resiliency, even things of like thinking outside of the box and just being able to talk to just about anyone.
Sheen, podcasting is the latest trend. Everybody seems to be doing it. But you've done it well. You've been awarded as the #1. Your numbers are staggering.
Thank you.
When you made that transition from being in corporate and saying, I'm going to jump and I'm going to make this full time, of course, now in hindsight, you know you were doing the right thing. But in the moment, how was that?
Very scary, I'll tell you that. Very, very scary. And the thing is, a lot of people, as you say, in hindsight, they think, oh, wow, it makes sense to follow that kind of path. But when I did it, there was no path. And I was just trying to figure it out as I went. So I actually left corporate, went into startups, so a bit more entrepreneurial to see what it's like. And then after that, I started the podcast alongside until I felt like I see potential in it. And especially financially, when it started to make more sense, then I kind of made the leap. You know, so it wasn't fully like take a leap of faith in the blind. It was more like building it properly and then having the systems in place, having the proof of concept. And then I made the jump. But even till now, and I'm sure you relate with that as well, is that being an entrepreneur is it's great, but not all fun and games, right? It's like, there are some things I like the freedom of my time, building something that I love, getting to do what I love on a daily basis. But at the same time, it's also less stable. There's no stability, there's no predictability. So all of that are kind of like in the balance right now, but I would not trade it for anything.
I'm so happy that you talked about the kind of strategic step that you made, because a lot of people will look at somebody like you and they're like, yeah, you just jumped and landed and won. And it's like, no. I really like the fact that you built out the systems, the proof of concepts, and then you took the leap. Why is that so important?
Honestly, I think that for some people it works to just do it and figure it out along the way, but it depends on your situation as well, right? So a lot of people have responsibilities, a lot of people have certain financial stability that they do need. And in order for you to not feel like you're risking it all, and then putting a lot of pressure, especially time-wise, in terms of when do things need to work out for you, it really, especially in the creative world, it hinders your creativity, which is why I did not want to be in a place where I feel like, okay, if in a month it doesn't work out, I'll need to figure something else out. So I didn't want to be in that place. So I wanted to give myself up to 6 months of just, this is your breathing time. Even if you don't make money in the 6 months, it's fine. But try to at least build it in those 6 months. And having that helps you just strategically think of how to make things better.
You and I off camera, we had a beautiful coffee and a chit chat. And first of all, you schooled me, girl. It was so lovely to just sit at your feet, as it were, talking about podcasting. And we really talked about the importance of the concepts and niching down and your USP and owning your lane. For you, did you know that straight off the back, what your lane would be, or has it evolved? And what do you think it is now?
So initially, when the idea of the podcast came was because when I was at university, I had really cool friends. One of them dropped out of Cambridge to become an astronaut. She's currently in space.
Wow.
Right. And then one of them dropped out of medicine to go win a gold medal for GB for rowing. So it's always been like, oh my God, like people are really, especially women, are really doing it all. But I don't know if that message has reached everybody around the world. And I felt so privileged and lucky to be able to be in those situations where I was learning from these incredible women. So I wanted to create a platform to bring them on to share their stories. That's how it started. But then we evolved with time, and now men want to be part of it as usual. So now we have to bring them on as well whenever it's like any story that will add something to the community anyway. We do welcome men. So it's evolved with time, but the mission has stayed the same, that we do want to tell young girls especially, and women around the world, especially from underrepresented backgrounds, that we are out there doing everything. Now, don't let where you come from hold you back.
Talking of incredible guests, one of your besties and one of your guests happens to be the infamous Stephen Bartlett.
Of course.
And I remember when I first saw him on your podcast, I was like, whoa, what is happening here?
Wait, Stephen hasn't been on my podcast.
No, you guys didn't do something together on the podcast?
Stephen?
Yeah.
No.
What did I see?
She manifested it.
I manifested it. I'm sure I saw the two of you.
No, we've filmed something together.
That's what it was, but it wasn't the pod. Okay, same difference. So content.
She's content.
Like, it wasn't the podcast, but it was content.
I wish it was the podcast.
He is incredible. You're incredible. What has he taught you around building a pod? You told me some secrets off camera. Do you mind sharing them?
Of course. I think the main takeaway I got from Stephen, because at the time when I met him, was very much, let's think about how to grow, right? We're not at the stage of initial trying to make it happen. We've reached a stable stage. Now, how do we make it to the next? And he says to sweat the 1%, right? So he says the little details is what will take you from an average or a good podcast to a great podcast. And he says a lot of people just really don't pay attention to the little things, even things like punctuation in the title, little things like how does your guest feel after they leave, little things like the picture. Is your guest smiling or is your guest not smiling? Is that showing the emotions you want to share or not? And even ask the questions that you ask and the way you connect with your guests. And he says all of these things matter because it's the compounding effect of the little details that bring success.
I love that. The excellence is in the detail is what I always say. And he says, sweat the 1%.
Yeah.
I so love that.
Yeah.
For you, when you started to unpack, because you do a few episodes, you do maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and then you get super analytical, right?
Yes.
That's where we are right now with all Or for you, when you started to unpack it and you started to think about your community, what was the 1% that you leaned into?
So for us, I've always thought that I would be a YouTube girl in and out, right? I always thought YouTube will be my platform. Then from the analytics, we realized that Instagram is where people love us. And we thought, okay, maybe we need to push down a little bit more on Instagram. And then you realize that the content is the same episode, but the content you extract for Instagram, for YouTube, and for TikTok are very different. For LinkedIn, it's very different. So that's one thing we learned, was how to extract the content right for each platform, and how do we package it and how do we post it. So these have been our incremental changes. And for now, every season, we try to bring in something new. Like last season, we brought in that every guest that comes in gets a bouquet, and the card is signed by the previous guest. So it's a way of connecting all the guests together. So we always want to build a community around not only the audience, but also the guests.
That's so beautiful. And people don't realize that podcasting is about community building. Talk about that.
So for me, when I initially started the podcast, it was purely like a one-way street of let me put content out there for women. And it was fully audio. Then we moved on to video, and now the audience can speak to me. So then I realized that there is so much power in community. And since the podcast has started, I can't even tell you the types of opportunities that have come through from the community. And it's like someone came to me being, I'm a huge fan of the podcast. I have this huge hotel, come to an event. So all these things just come through the power of community and people seeing purpose in bringing people together. And from the podcast, I got to fly out with Bill Gates, and go to Kenya and film with him. All of this purely just because one day I decided to grab a mic and be online. So if you are looking for your tribe, whatever it is, whatever weird obsession you have, there are people also online who wants that, right? And I have this way of thinking, which has really helped me, which is, you need to increase your surface area for serendipity. Right? So
say that again.
You need to increase your surface area for serendipity. And what I mean by that is, if I stayed in my little village in Mauritius, the likelihood of us two meeting was nil. Right? We would have never met. But if I left Mauritius and I came to Dubai, the likelihood increased. Now, when I left Mauritius and I went online, the likelihood of us meeting goes to exponentially big. So you putting yourself out there, whether it is through podcast, through content, through writing, whatever it is, it increases the likelihood of you meeting other people who also resonate and vibrate on the same frequency as you.
And ultimately, that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
It's that connectivity. And you're so right. I think you can tell the difference when somebody starts a podcast or any content where they're saying, I've got something to say to you, versus let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a totally different energy, right? So with that, do you believe that everybody should be doing content, or do you think it takes a particular type of personality to do a podcast?
That's a very good question. I get asked that all the time. But clearly she has it. But I think content is for everyone. I don't think there is a specific type of personality that needs to be online. I've seen the weirdest people go viral, right? We've all seen Ashton Hall go viral. That's a very different personality to me. And I think that what matters at the end of the day is not even the content, it's building a personal brand. I think in today's time, social cred is a lot more valuable than people think. Because once you have a personal brand, it's like having a public CV and having a public portfolio. Even if you don't want to be an influencer, you want to do well at work, whatever industry you're in, people will really value you having not a social media presence, but a public presence, right? So I think, especially going forward, as we move forward and the nature of jobs change, and even when we think about what does social media mean, the way it's evolving, if you have a social media presence, if you have a personal brand, you're already ahead of the game. And I think everyone has the ability to create a personal brand. I've seen people who, there's this one girl who I absolutely love, where she sits down and does a very feminine, girly makeup while she's talking about real life crime.
I've never seen that.
Right. And it's so different, like the clash between the two.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And she's viral. People love hearing real crime from her. And I think that this is weird, but see, she found something that works for her. Ashton Hall found something that works for him. He broke the internet. He's now on like 16 million followers overnight. So I think that we can all find what is good for us, but don't try to copy someone else. Don't try to just adopt the trends. Don't think that, this is working for this person, let me just copy exactly the same. Try to find your own voice, and there is I know what the next question is from everyone is it too late? Is it too crowded? It is not. It's not a crowded space yet. We still have time. The internet is huge. So just find your voice.
I so agree. I mean, obviously I read a whole book on personal branding, so I am an advocate of it. There's a data point that says 95% of people trust personal brands more than they do corporate brands. So whether you are at C-suite level, an entrepreneur, a freelancer, or a consultant, I'm so with you on that.
Yeah.
But I love what you said about the authenticity piece, that actually just find your own voice and don't copycat. I really love that. How long did it take you to find your voice? Particularly because you came from quite an academic institution and now you're doing something super creative. Was the voice always there or did you have to dig deep?
I think for me, the voice was there, but it was very hidden. It was very, very hidden because even when I was in a very strongly academic environment, I was still being sent to conferences to present my work, but I was always very different to everyone else. I would start with a joke, and the joke was that, so my PhD was in the spinal research, so back pain. And I would always say that, oh, you will love this presentation. We'll keep you at the edge of your seats, not just for your spine, but also because it's interesting. And everybody would love it. And I would always bring my personality to things, and the personality was there, and it's just letting it free, letting it out. But the confidence to be who I am came from me doing it. I gradually learned. If you watch my first episodes, I mean, you can't even watch it. It was audio only. But if you watch as it grew, you'll see that I grew up with a podcast, and you can see me coming into myself a lot more. And I think like everything else, confidence is a muscle. You build it over time. So the more I felt like, okay, let me try and be a little bit more myself, and I see people resonating with it, then I just let the floodgates open.
Yeah, I did a pod this week where somebody was interviewing me, and it was a young lady. And I said to her the same thing. I said, if you go back and watch the first two episodes of the Skypool podcast, I was super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I hadn't learned how to navigate.
You're thinking too much.
Yeah, thinking too much. And we're on the 50th floor, the wind is blowing, the camera's far away.
Anytime.
You could fall in the water. Like, I was a hot mess. So you're right. You've just got to start where you are, correct?
Correct.
Let's talk about the business of building a podcast. What does that look like?
So initially when we started, it was not about building a business, right? Then we gradually fell into it. If I have to be honest, you sponsors come to reach out to you. They tell you we want to buy an ad space, basically. We are media at the end of the day. And then obviously YouTube becomes monetized. And then initially you just do whatever comes to you. Then we started thinking, okay, maybe it's time to treat this like an actual business. Let's sit down because you need to get a license, you need to get a permit, you need to get all of this, you need to hire a team. Then I started thinking, what are the different monetization avenues? And obviously I reached out to all the other podcasters that I knew who were further ahead than me in the journey to ask for advice. And then you realize that there's so many things that you could be doing. But again, the trap is to not try to do everything, right? You do one thing well and then you move on to the next. And now with podcasting, it's a whole business. Like if you look at Stephen Bartlett, right? Doesn't he make like $1 million a month or something? So there's so many things you could be doing. Obviously, you have paid guests, you have paid sponsors, you get appearances, speaking. Also now have the academy where we train podcasters as well. So it's a lot of different ways. And at the end of the day, the admin part, the business side, is as boring and as difficult as any other business. But I still love the creative side more. And I'm hoping that we're going to build to a point where I don't need to be involved with a boring part
It's a whole team. It's a whole team.
The face.
Yes, Oprah. Yes. I'm manifested.
Yes. We're on the way, but we're not there yet.
I get that. You said two things that are super, super important. The first one that you said that really touched me at my core is you said you reached out to other podcasters. Yes. And I think it's really important to, be humble enough to do that.
Absolutely.
Like when we sat down, I was like, thank you, Lord, for bringing someone that gets it. Right. So it's being humble, but also it's just appreciating that people do want to help. Yeah. So what was some of the advice they gave you when you were reaching out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you don't ask, you don't get. And as you said, take your ego out of it. It's not about, it will help you in the long run. And I strongly believe in mentors, because why would I go through the same 10 years process that you went instead of just getting the help from you and fast tracking myself 10 years? So a lot of the advice I got the advice changes based on where you are, right? Which stage you're at. In the early stages, everyone will tell you, quantity over quality, right? Consistency. Just make sure that the algorithm knows on this day, Sheen's podcast comes out. Then once we were in the consistent game, we were there, present, then it became a factor of sweat the little details, and the packaging is everything, because if your packaging is not attracting someone, whatever is inside might be the best podcast in the world, but people won't see it. So the thumbnail, the title, the way you advertise it, everything is the packaging. Focus on that. Then it became a bit of like, think about what is different. How can you now twist the podcast? How can you challenge people a little bit more? How do you choose your guests? So all of this, but at the end of the day, the one thing I do personally is after every season, I go through what is the identity of the podcast, right? Who am I speaking to? Who is taking value from this? And therefore, who do I need to bring on to carry on this legacy?
So beautiful. I love the fact that you've taken all this knowledge and all this experience and you now have an academy supporting others that are building out podcasts. Tell us about that academy.
Yes, so I was getting a lot of messages from people telling me, I'm starting a podcast. How can you help? And realistically, I cannot help everyone individually because I don't have the time. So I thought, how can I put my knowledge into one package that is out there for people to use? So then we sat down. It took us 6 months to plan out the curriculum, script it, film it, and then we build out worksheets, everything. So now it's a 10 modules academy online. Everyone can buy whatever they want. So whichever stage you're at, you can choose which part you want. And there's a community. So everyone who joins in is part of the community. Some of them have access to me as well if they want it. And it's just been amazing to see the how different the industries of the podcast are. I have someone who's in gardening, someone who's a lawyer, someone who's a chef, and someone who's a mother, and she just wants to talk about motherhood. And it's been crazy to see how people have so much to say, and they are investing in themselves in order to put themselves out there. And it's been crazy. It is my favorite time of the day, is me sitting down on call with them and learning about what they learned and just gently shifting them into the right direction.
Oh, I love that. And I love it because, I'm a big believer that you're blessed to be a blessing. And that's exactly what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Exactly what you're doing. I always ask my guests this question, which is, for you, what is your brand legacy? What does tomorrow look like?
When you say what does tomorrow look like, do you mean after I'm not here or currently?
Either or, just brand legacy.
For me, honestly, I want the brand to be known as something that is reshaping the narrative around what women can achieve. And I just want it to be a case where the podcast is not even needed anymore. That will be the best part of my legacy, because we've changed the narrative completely.
Oh, I love that. I make myself obsolete.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. The planes have come out to join us today.
Love that.
Right?
Yeah.
We're in the elements. Something new that we did in season 2. And we've continued to season 3. Quick fire questions.
Let's go.
Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Why?
I am not a morning person.
So how did I get you here at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Just
I do. Considering you're a Mauritius girl, do you like slow island or fast city hustle?
Depends, different stages of life. I like a mix of both. So when I'm working and hustling, I need the fast city life. But then when I'm doing my rest and I need to reconnect with myself, I need the island life.
I get it. I'm a bit like that as well. Like, I love the pace of Dubai and London and New York. And then there's moments like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Give me...
I need quiet.
Yeah, me too. I think it's because we talk so much all day. That's what it is. My daughter will say, I've peopled out, mummy.
Ooh, that's such a good term.
Peopled out.
Yes.
All right. Journaling or meditation?
Journaling.
Journaling.
Yeah, so I started journaling from a very young age. And for me, because I have a very chaotic mind, I need it on paper. And for me, that's one way of like, out. Now I don't need to do it anymore. And it's really helped me in terms of visualizing my life and also planning ahead. Because my diary is pretty much my to-do list, but that's what it is.
I love that. You brain dump in your diary.
Yeah.
You are a phenomenal keynote speaker. You've done a lot of keynotes. What's more important, or what do you love the most, keynote or podcast?
Podcast. Because I bounce off people's energy, which is what I love every time we meet, because For me, I love looking into someone's eyes and learning about their story. I think everyone has something so unique about them to share. And for me, the fun part is finding that in that person. That's why the podcast is fun for me, because I sit and I connect. And someone said this to me once and it stuck with me, is the reason I am a very social person and I get along with everyone is because I assume familiarity. And that is so true.
That's so true.
Right?
And
It
that's
is so true
beautiful.
about me.
And
Yeah.
it's so true. Because the
Yeah.
minute I met you, I was like, hugs.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like that as well, though. I'm like,
Yeah,
hugger.
I mean, we're both the problem. That's fine. But I assume familiarity. And then from there on, it's easy for me. So that's why the podcast is the best setup. I love doing a keynote. I love talking, obviously, to people. But the best part for me of my day is sitting down with someone and learning about them.
That's so beautiful. Flip-flops or high heels?
Flip-flops.
I knew you were going to say that with an eye roll. I knew that was coming.
Oh my, I can't. I'm too tall. It really. I'm a bit too tall then if I'm wearing heels as well, and I find them so uncomfortable.
Fair dues, fair dues. Lastly, ocean breeze or skyline view?
What was the first one?
Ocean breeze.
Oh, definitely ocean. I'm an island girl. Grew up living by the beach, so I would never trade that for anything else.
Dr. Sheen, I love you to bits. Thank you for being on the Skypool podcast.
Kubi, thank you for having me, and you're smashing this.
Oh, that means so much coming from you. All right, I've had so much fun interviewing her. Please go and check out her podcast. And if you are planning on building a podcast, then you know what to do. Get into the academy. I'll see you next time.